Yeah,
Okay.
we can start.
Okay, we're rolling. So now we're here with Chad Archibald, a director who's dedicated, to whom the director spotlight of this festival is dedicated. You're here with three of your films, of your recent films. The one was the opening film, The Heretics, and there are gonna be two others being played, The Drownsman and Bite. So we're gonna talk about these three movies. Maybe as an intro question, because you're here since 2 days. How's your time in Regensburg?
Amazing.
Yeah.
We went to Oktoberfest on day one, which is how this happened. And the last 2 days have been so much fun. Everyone's been so great here. The festival's been great. Flo's been great, and it's fun to watch this movie with a German audience. It's the first time outside of Toronto that we've actually sat and watched the movie with people. So it's good to see it with a audience that's not just our friends and family.
When we're talking about your movies now, is there something, because I don't want to give away anything, how you would yourself describe your movies?
It's weird. We signed an 8-picture deal with a company called Breakthrough Entertainment. So we've been making these kind of 8 horror movies over the last couple of years, and every one we just try to make different and unique, and because they're all coming out so closely together, we're always just trying to do something that kind of stands out on its own. As far as a style or whatever, I never pretend that I have like a distinct kind of concept of style of what it is. It kind of just ends up being a little bit different for every film. One thing I love about filmmaking is that it's never the same. Mm-hmm. You're always learning, no matter how big of a director you are. Nobody's got like it down. You know what I mean? Like you can be, the biggest director in the world and still make a really bad movie. So I mean, it's always a learning thing, and it's always you're always evolving, and it's always different. So.
But as a director, you're making films for 12 years or something, I guess. Your first film was in 2005, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think we started shooting it in 2002.
2002 already.
Yeah,
okay.
and that
so
was
15 years.
Film that me and Gabriel co-directed.
And since then, you stayed in the horror genre. So, you are dedicated to horror.
We just love making horror movies. We love watching horror movies, and it's something that luckily people have funded us to make more horror movies. But we did a movie called Never Lost, which was kind of like a genre love story. We did an action movie called Bounty Hunters years ago. But as far as horror films, it's just something that we actually just really love. We love making horror movies, and we love coming up with concepts for them, because it's just so much fun to create stories in the horror realm, because you can do whatever you want. Like there's no rules. There's no guidebook as far as what your concept's going to be or what your story's going to be. You can do whatever the hell you want, and it doesn't need to make any sense at all. Like last night, I watched Night of the Virgin, and a dude got dragged for 9 minutes by an umbilical cord coming out of his butt. Like it was absurd. And like nobody batted an eye at how realistic that is. So that's why horror films are so much fun, because you can just do whatever you want.
So it gives you a great freedom in creating pictures who don't necessarily have to have any sense at all, but they can be just very impressive pictures.
Obviously you need a good story, and that kind of translates through any genre you're actually making a movie with. But as far as your freedom to experiment.
And making horror movies for you is not just a way of living, but it's a passion.
Absolutely. We love doing it. And they are so much fun. When we did the movie Bite, we did mostly practical effects in the entire film, and every day on set there was like a different gooey, weird, absurd shot that we would do, where everyone from the crew would all get behind the monitor and we'd all watch and go, oh god, like laugh and joke, and it's so much fun to do that stuff. And I mean, we love being on set. That's why we're always pushing to be making these movies. As stressful and insane as it is, it's the place that we love being the most. So.
What I like about your movies, I've seen the recent 3, which are playing at this festival, and I have the feeling they're all very generic horror films, very genre films, but every one a kind of its own kind of subgenre. So you can see some connecting lines, but you can see also that each one is a different movie. Are there also, or do you yourself discover some, over the years of filmmaking, there's some common threads or some common topics that appear again and again in your movies? For example, I had the feeling in the 3 movies, the Heretics, the Drownsman and Bite, it's all about, maybe not so much in the Drownsman, but at least in the Heretics and Bite, about women that are in some sort of transgression or transition.
Yeah, I mean, it's we have a lot of strong female roles in our films. I think it's just something that we kind of gravitate to. Between the 8 films that we did with Breakthrough Entertainment, the majority of them are strong female roles, where they are going through some sort of transition. But a lot of them are based on just the topics that we come up with. I mean, we go away and we have writing trips where we go up to a cottage and we cover the walls in paper and come up with 100 movie ideas, and then come out with one that we really like, and then we go and we pitch to the studio. And I think just me and Cody were both fans of strong female characters, and it's just kind of worked out that way. But even like Bite, for example, the story is, in a pitch it would be about a girl who got bit by a bug and starts turning into a bug. It's kind of like the Fleig. But underneath it, it's about a woman who's, she's getting married and she's young and she's not quite ready to have children, and whenever she gets bit by this insect and starts turning into this bug, her like natural instincts kind of start coming through, and she lays all these eggs and becomes like the mother of like 1,000 little bug children or whatever, because it is like it's just an interesting concept of like humans are the only people that actually make the choice of having children. Like every other creature on the planet, basically, it's their natural instincts to procreate. We're humans, we're the only people that go, I might not want to have kids. So it's just it's kind of an exercise just watching, her go from a human to kind of another creature that has these natural instincts to recreate. So
you could say beneath the creature story, a woman turning into a monster bug, there's also this reflection on human behavior and human thoughts, what you just said about becoming married and being too young, having children. And that's what I find interesting about especially Bite, the way you tell your story. You don't just tell it by dialogue or by what's happening, but also with showing things, what you just said earlier, with creating pictures that stand for more than just what you can see. You have always this parallel level, this metaphoric level, when the girl transfers into a bug. And for me, it was very important that I really could, it's very gross and very slimy, but this was what made the movie so special, because I really could feel what's going on there. I could feel myself, the transition the girl was going through. Can you tell us about a bit about the effects you use? Because I think I really appreciated that you work not with digital effects, but really with practical on-site handmade effects.
Yeah. So I mean, we with Bite, it was almost entirely practical effects, and our gore team, we had like a little room in this. We built the whole set in like an auto garage in Guelph, and we had this one side room, and it was just full of buckets of different kinds of goo. And I mean, there's probably like 20 buckets, like, you know, like that. And each one had just different color, different kinds of slime. And some of it was like, you know, really watery, and some of it you put your hand in and it would just like, it was so much fun. And then we had just buckets of bug eggs. And they were basically these little beads, and you put them in water or coffee or whatever, and they grow into like these gelatin balls. So we just had this room that was full of those, and every morning I would go to set before everyone else, because we shot it chronologically. So every day the house would become more and more of a hive. So I'd go there for like an hour or two before anyone else, and I would just like walk around. I'd think about the day. Like I'd have my arms were just covered in slime, and I'd be like putting stuff on the walls and putting like more things here and throwing in eggs, and it was just like a little thing that I did every morning, and everyone would come to set excited because they get to see like more and more of the hive kind of being built. But that's what made it so fun. And that, I mean, I think Elma's performance in it came through as well, because once she got into character and got covered in this slime and got into the hive of a house, it was you know, she mentioned a lot of times that it's like when she was in there, she was just like, I'm a completely different person. Like you would not even recognize her. She looked so horrendous in the movie, but she's very, very beautiful, and she's so gentle and funny, and she's just such a lighthearted human being that it was awesome to see her kind of transition every time she kind of walked into this hive and saved it. But I mean, like I said, it's doing stuff practically. It's just more fun, you know. Like we wanted the whole set to kind of feel like it was alive a little bit. So every table, like everything, there was bug eggs everywhere. So before every take, we would all run in. There'd be like 5 or 6 of us, and we'd like pile up all these bug eggs and be like, all right, action. And we'd all like let go, so that they were always kind of like moving. It was like they were always slowly growing and pushing each other off ledges and stuff. So it was, yeah, I mean, we had so much fun making that movie just because of the practical effects.
I can imagine that. How easy or difficult was it to find the actress that was willing to spend most of the shooting time covered with slime?
It was Elma's first movie, and she was a trooper with it. I think she agreed to the role before she actually read the entire script. And I know after she read it, she was like, "Oh my God, what am I getting myself into?" But even Nina Curie, who is in the Heretics, again, it was like it was such a grueling shoot, makeup-wise. We were like in the middle of the woods. We were in like, there was nothing around. There was no washrooms. Like we had like little porta potties and stuff, and they had like an RV that was gutted. It was actually the one from the movie, and that was like our makeup room. So it was like every day she would go in there and have to get this bald cap on, and she'd have to like get just covered like head to toe in makeup and goo and everything. And she'd have to go out, and it'd be like bugs are out and everything, and she'd have to sit in this chair and get chained to this chair all day. So I mean, it was pretty grueling, but she was such a trooper, and I think she loves it in the end, the final product. But again, it's like when you're there and it's real. It's a real cabin. It's really in the woods. She was there, covered in the stuff. I mean, I think performance-wise, it came through with her as well.
I think that makes a huge difference if you have really gone through that, what is happening on screen, or if you're just pretending the movements in front of the green screen. Talking about the Drownsman, it's a film about also a strong female character and her friends, and they're being hunted by a supernatural killer that can appear through water. What it reminded me, and I know you said that too, of Freddy Krueger. What else was influence for that movie, or how would you describe it further?
I mean, it started off that we were actually, I just love those horror films. I love Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th and Halloween, and you know, growing up, even growing up in my adult life, I have figurines of all these characters, pinheads and whatnot in in my room. I had a whole collection of them, and I always wanted to create a character that would be like something that like NECA would create or something like that, something that you could actually get a figurine and put it there.
Yeah.
Like they're just so iconic, and I feel like it's so rare that there's iconic villains anymore. I mean, they're there. There's so many remakes and whatnot, but it's like it actually just is rare that there's like anyone would get to that kind of fame in the horror realm, you know, like Freddy Krueger, you know, like Jason. It's they're iconic, and it's like you go to a horror convention or you talk about horror movies or whatever. And it's like those characters that were created so long ago, still like they're still just as popular today or more. So I mean, we just wanted to create a villain, you know. And we said, you know, what are we afraid of? And I actually, when I was young, I was afraid of water. I didn't learn to swim until till I was a little older, and it was always just a fear of mine. So we just came up with this idea of this guy that drowns people.
So the Drownsman could be a new super villain in a series. Will there ever be, or have you thought about a sequel?
We almost made a sequel. We actually had a full treatment for it, and we actually just it was so hard to make that movie. It was like, that's like things that you don't, like as an indie filmmaker, there's things that you don't shoot with. You don't shoot with animals, you don't shoot with kids, you don't shoot with water, because they're very, very difficult to control. And making that movie it was so insane. The stuff that we went through to make that happen, like even just like, we filmed it in the middle of a field in a set, and there's no running water or anything, and it was like cold in Canada, so we'd have bucket heaters every night. So I'd go and I'd like wake up every hour and go in, because we could only afford a couple bucket heaters. Then we'd go and we'd switch these things around, and we'd be boiling water all night. Then we'd have like, we call it the water brigade, where we'd be like, okay, let's go, and like everyone would grab these buckets, and we like all went out and like we'd fill the tub, and then like the actors would have to go in, and it would be like instantly it starts getting colder and colder and colder and colder and colder. And we had, you know, our producers inside, he's like boiling water in kettles and stuff, putting in a cooler and trying to like, it was such a challenge that even looking at the sequel, I think we were actually just not ready for it. We're so traumatized.
Through that again so soon.
Yeah, we got so close, and we were like, you know what? Not ready. Too soon. Maybe sometime in the future.
What I also find very interesting, I heard you didn't go to film school. The films and your filmography came out step by step, and you learned by every film. So you're still in the development, or do you see yourself still in the development? Still going on, still learning?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I was saying, like filmmaking, I think is something that you just continue to learn to do. You know, there's the basics of what you can do, but as far as like storytelling, it's an art form still, you know? It's always different, and it's always unique, and especially dealing with different budgets and small budgets, you have to be creative with how you do things. You know, it's very hard to get exactly what you want, or what you have pictured in your head. It's about figuring out the best way to get as close as you can with the funds that you have and the time that you have. But I mean, I never went to film school. I learned filmmaking by making every mistake that you can. Mm-hmm. The first movie that we did, we had no idea what we were doing. Like, we were going to go and we were going to film it in a week, and it took 3 years. And I mean, we never even had mics on set. We knew so little. And back then, it was even like our first movie, we made it before YouTube was around. So it's like, even going online, trying to find information online, it was like, back then, the technology had just come out that you could actually go and film a movie that looked good. And before that, you need money because you'd have to shoot on film. So it was, I think we went to the bookstore and we bought Filmmaking for Dummies, like those yellow and black books. And that was kind of like how we learned. And then even on set, I don't think we never actually had like a mic. It was just on camera audio. community was so little, so we actually had to re-record every sound in the entire movie. And again, it's like we never had any money for anything, so it's like I went into the basement, I built a sound room, built a sound booth, insulated the whole thing, and then I sat there with software that is completely not right for the job, and had every actor in, every actor re-recorded every line of dialogue, every like movement of clothes, like every sound in the entire thing. We had to re-record and then mix and create the sound for the movie. So I mean, that's how I learned about sound. You know, we also edited ourselves, so you know that's how I learned about editing. I'd never done a short, never done music videos, nothing. It was like the first thing that I ever did was a feature film. So it's I'm amazed it actually got done, and it sold well, and it did really well for us. But yeah, I definitely learned from making mistakes and just being passionate about it. I mean, as soon as we started filming stuff, it's like we went nuts. I think we've done 160 music videos now.
Oh.
We've done 22 feature films, and even aside from that, we would go out when we're not filming and just film random stuff, us running around being idiots or whatever, and try effects and try different ways of editing and different shots, and try to do something that was seamless and flowed like an actual scene. And I think it was just passion and drive and the love of doing it. It was like we were addicted. Once it started, we were so like addicted to actually making movies that we've just never stopped.
It's an impressive output. Maybe we can have a word on the Heretics still. What I found very interesting, it had a different approach with Bite. You have a classic body horror. The Drownsman is more like a slasher, and the Heretics was more, for me, I saw it in the tradition of the 70s cult and paranoia ritual movies.
Yeah, it was, again, we were trying to do something different with every one of our films in this 8 that were coming out. And the Heretics was, we just wanted to do something different. Like, it has twists and turns through it. It's something that we hadn't done in films before. And I guess that's the same thing as we were talking about. It's all about learning how to be a storyteller. And we want to, always challenge ourselves by continuing to evolve and really come up with something that's different from something that we had done in the past. The last thing we ever want to do is come up with another movie that's like the same as our last one, So the Heretics was something that's it was a little out of our comfort zone, and it was, it was a different kind of story for sure. But I mean, that's what I love so much about it. There's some scares in it. There's some really cool moments. There's, like I said, twists and turns, which you never know. It's like, this is the first movie that we had done with any sort of real twist, and we're like, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Is it going to be too obvious? Like, at what point is it, we've given up too much information, and everyone's like, oh, obviously that's what's going to happen, So it's a challenge for sure, and we had fun doing it.
I got responses. People who saw the film, they always said, it's really nice they would like to see the second time because it could be a different.
And that's why it's so much fun to watch, because if you watch it again without ruining anything, every line that the one character says is completely different in context when you watch it again. And it was designed that way, so there's like, on the second viewing of it, it's so different, and she's so evil. After you watch it, it's just heartless.
And she's really impressive, the actress of, what's her name?
Georgia?
The girlfriend?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was the first movie she had ever done.
Oh.
It was the first time she had ever acted in a feature film. She's Australian, actually, and she has a very thick Australian accent. So she was, in the movie, she had like a North American accent that she had put on for it. But when you talk to her normally, she's got a very strong Australian accent.
How did you find her?
Just through casting in Toronto. She had just moved to Toronto from from Australia, and she was looking to do a movie, and we auditioned her, and she was just stunning. She's like very, very. She just had a presence that was like great for the film, and we had gone through some extensive casting, and there was like a lot of choices that we struggled with, and in the end, I was like, we pushed for her. And the first scene that she actually ever did was the end scene of the movie, because we had to film all the cabin stuff first. So the final scene of the movie is like the climax. It's like the most intense scene in the entire film. It's like day one that she was on set, she had to like jump right into that role, and she killed it. I mean, it was a relief too, because it's like the first time that somebody acts in a movie. You never know. You know, once they actually get on set, it's the first time you see with the lighting and everything, and you can only hope that they're gonna kill it. And she came in, and it's like after our first day, we were like, yes. Yeah, she really did a great job.
Okay, so I think we have come to the end of the interview. Oh yes. For some closing words, is there anything you would recommend to our audience? Because there's what you want to say about you or your films? Is there anything left?
No, I mean it's an honor to be here and to get to visit Germany and be able to watch these films again with an audience. So we're watching Bite this afternoon, and I mean, I never thought I'd actually get to sit with an audience in a theater and watch that movie again, and same with Drownsman. So I'm just really excited to kind of see what people think, and and watch them again. I haven't seen them in a while, so it's fun.
So thank you very much for the interview, and yeah, we wish you a nice time here in Regensburg. There's still 2 screenings left, so enjoy.
Excellent, thank you so much.
Thank you. So could we make